You're about to rebuild your motivation in the next few minutes, not someday, not when life calms down, but now. In this audiobook, you will learn 5 simple, repeatable steps that will re-energize your mind, clear your mental fatigue, and put you back on a deliberate path toward your goals. This is not theory. This is a system. If you follow the steps, your motivation goes up. If you ignore them, your motivation leaks away. So as you listen, make a decision. No half attention. No multitasking. No, I already know this. For the next hour, treat this like a mental reset button. You are here to wake yourself up, step back in your power, and prove to yourself that you're not done yet. And it starts right now. You keep telling yourself you'll do it later. That's the problem. That's the leak in your motivation. That's the lie you have been living in for years. I'll start when I have more time. I'll start when work slows down. I'll start when I feel ready. You know these lines. You've repeated them to yourself more times than you can count. And every time you say them, your motivation dies a little. Later is a lie. Now is a decision. Let that sink in. Look at your life honestly. How many workouts died in the graveyard of, I'll start Monday? How many business ideas stayed in your head because you said, I just need to research a little more? How many important conversations never happened because you told yourself, it's not the right time yet? You have a pattern. You delay. You hesitate. You overthink. Then you call it bad motivation. You do not have a motivation problem. You have a decision problem. You have a habit of lying to yourself about later. You have a choice. Right now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when you feel like it. Now. When you say later, your brain relaxes. It thinks the problem is handled. You've made a fake promise to yourself, and your brain buys it. That fake promise steals your urgency. When urgency disappears, motivation disappears. That's the key. You wait for motivation to show up like weather. You act like it's out of your control. But motivation is not weather. Motivation is not random. Motivation is a signal you create by making a clear commitment in time. Think about the moments when you actually moved, the exam you crammed for the night before, the flight you packed for at the last minute, the deadline you hit only because it was due in 2 hours. You didn't suddenly become a different person. You had a clear by when. You created urgency. You created a signal. Motivation is not a feeling you wait for. It is a response. It is your mind reacting to a decision that has consequences. You have a choice. Keep lying about later, or tell yourself the truth. If it doesn't happen in the next 24 hours, it isn't real. You don't need their permission. You don't need your boss's permission to wake up earlier. You don't need your family's permission to take a 30-minute walk. You don't need the internet's permission to start the first rough version of your idea. You are waiting for approval so you can feel safe. But safety is not why you're listening to this. You're listening because you're tired of being stuck. Look at your later list. The workout plan. The online course you never finished. The savings goal you keep resetting. The difficult message you still haven't sent. None of those are missing motivation. They are missing a 24-hour decision. So here's the rule of this chapter. If it matters, it gets a 24-hour action. Not a 24-day plan. Not a 24-page journal entry. A 24-hour action. It's not about feeling lazy. It's about building discipline. It's not about being unmotivated. It's about refusing to decide. It's not about your flaws. It's about your discipline. You have a choice. You can keep telling yourself the story of someday, or you can accept that someday is code for never and decide that something happens today. Here's what you must do. Pick one area. Just one. Your health. Your money. Your craft. Your environment. Choose one. Now ask yourself one question. What is the smallest, undeniable action I can complete in the next 24 hours that proves I have started? Not the perfect action. Not the final action. The smallest, undeniable action. 5 push-ups. 1 page written. 1 email sent. 1 bill paid. 10 minutes cleaning your room. You think small actions don't matter. That's the lie. Small actions are how momentum starts. Small actions are how your brain learns. We're doing this now. That's the key. Every time you act within 24 hours, you send yourself a message. I do what I say. I move when I decide. I am not a later person anymore. Every time you delay, you send the opposite message. I don't trust my own word. I talk big, but I don't move. I care more about comfort than progress. You have a choice. Which identity are you building? In the real world, the people you admire are not magical. They simply act sooner. They send the email now. They make the call now. They start the workout now. They don't wait for motivation. They create it by deciding. You don't need their permission to do the same. Not your friends. Not your parents. Not social medias. You are the one who lives with your results. You are the one who lives with your later. So here is your behavioral instruction from this chapter. Before this day ends, you will choose one goal and define one 24-hour action. You will write it down. You will schedule it with a specific time. You will treat it like a real appointment. Not a wish. Not a hope. A decision. Later is a lie. Now is a decision. Say it again to yourself. Later is a lie. Now is a decision. You don't need to fix your entire life this week. You don't need to become a different person overnight. You only need to break the pattern of later once. Then again tomorrow. Then again the day after that. That's how motivation is refreshed. Not by waiting. By deciding. By acting inside a window of time that proves you are serious. You have a choice. Keep rehearsing excuses. Or build a new identity. One 24-hour decision at a time. This is the first step in refreshing your motivation. Stop lying to yourself about later. See the lie. Reject the lie. Replace it with a decision and a deadline. You just took the mask off your biggest enemy, your own delay. Now that you see it, you can no longer pretend you don't know. You master the lie of later. Now, let's talk about the fuel you pour into your mind every day. Chapter 2. Control your input. Control your fire. Your mind is not tired by accident. Your fire did not go out on its own. Something has been pouring water on it every single day. Mental fatigue is not always about doing too much. Often, it is about consuming too much of the wrong things. Too much noise. Too much drama. Too much digital junk. You feel unmotivated, but look at what you feed your mind. You wake up and scroll. You check who texted. You dive into other people's lives before you even step into your own. Then you wonder why you feel behind before the day starts. You have a choice. You can keep pretending that your input doesn't matter. Or you can finally admit the truth. Your input is your fuel. Doom scrolling is not harmless. Every negative headline, every fake perfect life, every argument in the comments is a small cut in your focus. One cut doesn't destroy you. 1,000 cuts do. You say you're exhausted. You say you're burned out. But look at your screen time. Look at how many hours you spend reacting, not creating. That's the key. Your brain only has so much attention per day. You spend it or you invest it. You spend it on gossip, conflict, and comparison. You invest it in learning, planning, and building. Right now, most of your attention is being spent, not invested. You don't need their permission to change that. You don't need an app. You don't need a productivity guru. You need a decision about what gets in and what stays out. Think about someone you know who always seems calmer, clearer, more driven. They are not superhuman. They are selective. They don't let every voice into their head. They don't treat every notification like an emergency. There was a man who thought he had chronic, low motivation. He blamed his job. He blamed his age. He blamed his personality. For 7 days, he did one thing. No social media before noon. No news after 6 p.m. By day 3, his mind felt lighter. By day 5, he had started writing a business plan he'd put off for 2 years. Nothing magical happened. He just stopped feeding his mind trash. There was a student who said, "I can't focus." Her room was chaos. Her phone was constantly buzzing. Her friends flooded her with drama. For 1 week, she put her phone in another room while studying, cleaned her desk, and told her friends she'd respond later, not instantly. Her study time went from 20 distracted minutes to 90 focused minutes. Her mind wasn't broken. Her gates were wide open. Guard your gates. That is the command of this chapter. Guard your gates. Your gates are your eyes, your ears, and your attention. What you see, what you hear, what you repeat. This is what builds your inner world. You cannot binge negativity, comparison, and noise and expect to feel powerful and clear. It does not work that way. You have a choice. Every scroll is a choice. Every video is a choice. Every conversation you tolerate is a choice. It's not about being weak. It's about building discipline. It's not about being too sensitive. It's about being strategic. It's not about your flaw. It's about your discipline. Here is the truth most people avoid. Your mind is a limited space. If it's full of other people's problems, other people's opinions, and other people's victories, there is no room for your own mission. Guard your gates. That's the key. So what do you actually do? You set hard boundaries for 7 days. Not forever. 7 days. For 7 days. No social media in the first hour after waking up. For 7 days. No doom-scrolling news feeds at night. For 7 days. Mute or limit anyone who constantly brings drama, gossip, or negativity into your inbox. For 7 days, clear one physical space you use daily, a desk, a room, a corner, and protect it from clutter. You don't need their permission to do this. You don't need to explain your experiment to anyone. You don't need to post about your detox. Just do it. For these 7 days, your rule is simple. If it drains you, it doesn't get in. If it distracts you, it doesn't get first access. If it disrespects your peace, it doesn't get your time. You have a choice. Will people be confused? Maybe. Will some call you distant? Maybe. They don't live your life. They don't pay the price for your burnout. You do. Imagine waking up and the first thing your mind receives is your plan, not your feed. Imagine going to bed with silence instead of stress. Imagine having enough mental energy left to start that project, to learn that skill, to rebuild that body. This is not fantasy. This is what happens when you guard your gates. Your motivation is a fire, and every piece of input is either wood or water. A focused podcast is wood. A toxic argument is water. A clear plan is wood. An hour lost in pointless scrolling is water. You have a choice. Will you pour wood on your fire today? Or will you keep throwing water and then complain that nothing burns? It's not about having a perfect life. It's about practicing discipline with your attention. It's not about being a monk. It's about refusing to be a slave to noise. It's not about your flaw. It's about your discipline. Here is your behavioral assignment from this chapter. Right after this audio, write down 3 things. Number 1, the apps or sites that drain you the most. Number 2, the people or conversations that consistently leave you feeling empty. Number 3, the spaces in your life that visually stress you out. Then, set one clear rule for each. For the apps, a time block when they are off limits. For the people, a boundary for how and when you respond. For the spaces, a 15-minute block today to clear or improve one of them. Guard your gates. Repeat it to yourself. Guard your gates. Guard your gates. When you control your input, you control your fire. You stop leaking energy on nonsense. You stop letting the world program your emotions. You take back ownership of your focus. You want refresh motivation? Start by cleaning the channel it flows through. Your mind, your attention, your gates. You have a choice. Keep consuming everything and creating nothing. Or become ruthless about what gets in, so you can be powerful in what comes out. In the last chapter, you learn to stop lying to yourself about later. You saw how delay kills your drive. Now, you understand that your daily inputs either feed your fire or drown it. You broke the habit of someday. You are learning to guard your gates. Next, it's time to turn the protected focus into movement you cannot ignore. Chapter 3. Make your goal physically unavoidable. You say you want change, but your goal is invisible. That is why you keep drifting. That is why your motivation fades. Your brain is not built to chase vague, blurry desires. It is built to respond to what is right in front of it. You think you lack willpower. You don't. You lack visibility. If you don't see it, you won't move toward it. That's the key. Right now, your goals live in your head. Get in shape. Make more money. Be more focused. Those are not goals. Those are wishes. Your mind cannot hit a target it cannot see. You have a choice. Leave your goals buried in your thoughts, or drag them out into the physical world where they can't be ignored. Think about the most driven people you know. Athletes, entrepreneurs, top students. They don't leave their goals to memory. They surround themselves with reminders. An athlete puts their race time on the wall. They see it every morning. They see it every night. They write the time they're chasing, circle it, underline it. On low-energy days, that number stares back at them and asks, "Are you still serious?" If you don't see it, you won't move toward it. An entrepreneur prints their revenue target and tapes it to their laptop. They put their ideal customer on a sticky note. They keep a whiteboard with the one metric that matters this quarter. When they feel like coasting, that number reminds them, "We're not there yet." A student writes their desired grade on an index card and sticks it on the wall above the desk. Every time they want to scroll instead of study, their own handwriting challenges them. The goal is not abstract anymore. It is a physical object in their space. You don't need their permission to do this. You don't need a fancy planner. You don't need a vision board course. You need a pen, paper, and the courage to stop hiding from what you say you want. Here is the hard truth. You say your goal matters, but your environment does not show it. Your wall shows nothing. Your desk shows nothing. Your phone shows nothing. And then you wonder why you forget, why you drift, why you lose motivation. It's not about you being lazy. It's about you being invisible with your intentions. It's not about your flaw. It's about your discipline. Your brain is constantly scanning. It looks at your room, your home screen, your mirror, your workspace. If those places scream distraction, clutter, and comfort, that is what you will move toward. If those places shout your goals, your next step, your standard, that is what you will move toward. If you don't see it, you won't move toward it. So what do? You make your goal physically unavoidable. You force it into your line of sight so often that ignoring it becomes more painful than acting on it. Step 1. Choose one primary goal, not 10. 1. Is it your health, your income, your focus, your craft? Pick one. Step 2. Write it down in one clear, measurable sentence. Not get fit. Run 5 kilometers without stopping by June 30th. Not make more money. Earn an extra $1,000 a month from a side project by December 31st. Not be more focused. Work for 90 minutes a day without checking my phone. You have a choice. Hide from the specifics, or write them in ink and look them in the eye. Step 3. Place that sentence where you cannot avoid it. On your wall, at eye level, on your bathroom mirror, on your fridge, as your phone lock screen, on a sticky note on your laptop. Every time you see it, your mind receives a command. This matters. Every time you see it, the gap between where you are and where you want to be becomes visible. That gap is not there to shame you. It is there to move you. If you don't see it, you won't move toward it. This is how you refresh motivation without relying on feelings. You use visibility to create urgency. You turn your entire environment into a silent coach. You might say, "But I don't want to obsess." You already obsess. You obsess over what is in front of you. Your phone, your feed, your problems. All this chapter asks is that you begin obsessing over your target instead. You might say, "What if I fail and that goal is staring at me every day?" Good. Let stare. Let it bother you enough to act. You have a choice. Be uncomfortable because of clutter and distraction, or be uncomfortable because your goal is calling you higher. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's not about never slipping. It's about never hiding. It's not about your flaw. It's about your discipline. Now, add triggers. Set alarms with labels that show your goal. At 7 a.m., move your body. At 8 p.m., work on your craft. At 9 p.m., plan tomorrow's one win. When the alarm goes off, your phone does not just buzz. Your goal speaks. Change the wallpaper on your devices. Use a simple image or even a plain background with your written target. Remove icons from your home screen that pull you away. Put your calendar, notes, or planning app front and center. If you don't see it, you won't move toward it. Here is your behavioral assignment from this chapter. Before today ends, write your one main goal in a clear sentence. Place that sentence in at least 3 physical locations you see daily. Change your phone lock screen to that sentence or a direct symbol of it. Set one alarm tomorrow that uses the goal as the label. You don't need their permission to reorganize your space. You don't need anyone's approval to take ownership of your walls, your screens, your mirror. This is your life. This is your environment. You have a choice. Keep living in rooms that reflect your past and your comfort, or design rooms that reflect your future and your discipline. If you don't see it, you won't move toward it. When you do see it, constantly, clearly, boldly, your motivation does not have to come from hype. It comes from alignment. Your space, your eyes, your mind, your actions, all pointed in the same direction. In the first chapter, you stopped lying to yourself about later. You learned that motivation is created by decisions, not by wishes. In the second chapter, you took back control of your input and started guarding your gates. Now, in this chapter, you made your goal physically unavoidable, so your environment pushes you forward even when your energy is low. You are no longer hoping to remember your mission. You are surrounded by it. Next, it's time to break the belief that only big moves count and learn how tiny steps create unstoppable momentum. Chapter 4. Shrink the task, raise the energy. Right now, your goal feels heavy because you keep trying to swallow the whole thing at once. That is why you feel stuck. That is why your motivation keeps crashing. Oversized goals crush your energy. Not because the goal is wrong, because the unit of action is wrong. You're trying to lift a car instead of moving it an inch. You look at lose 30 pounds, pay off all my debt, build a 6-figure business, completely reset my life. Your brain sees a mountain. It panics. It freezes. Then you call yourself lazy. You don't have a laziness problem. You have an overwhelm problem. You keep setting the bar at massive change and then wonder why you can't even take the first step. You have a choice. Keep worshiping big moves and staying stuck, or start respecting small actions and building real momentum. Small actions, big momentum. That's the key. Your brain is wired to respond to wins, not theories, not potential. Wins. When you complete a task, even a tiny one, you get a hit of progress. Your brain releases a little reward. You feel more capable. That energy is motivation. You don't need their permission to use this. You don't need a new personality. You don't need to feel ready. You need to shrink the task until movement feels possible. Look at your biggest, most draining goal right now. Maybe it's your body. Maybe it's your money. Maybe it's your career. You keep telling yourself, I have to fix everything. No, you have to do something small. If you have not exercised in months, go to the gym for 90 minutes is not a starting task. That is a fantasy. A real starting task is put on your shoes, walk for 10 minutes, do 5 push-ups next to your bed. That's it. You say, that's too small. It doesn't matter. That is your ego talking. Your ego wants dramatic change. Your brain wants doable change. Small actions, big momentum. If your room is a disaster, clean the entire house is not a task. It's a movie scene. A real task is clean 1 drawer, throw away 10 pieces of trash, fold the clothes on 1 chair, not the whole room, 1 zone. If you're behind on work or school, catch up on everything is noise. A real task is read 1 page, write 1 paragraph, send 1 email, watch 1 lesson, and take 3 notes. You have a choice. You can keep demanding that every action be impressive, Or you can accept that unimpressive actions are how impressive lives are built. It's not about your lack of willpower. It's about your lack of strategy. It's not about your flaw. It's about your discipline. Think about a train. A train is hardest to move when it's not moving at all. It doesn't need maximum speed. It just needs to start rolling. Once it moves, even slowly, it becomes easier to keep going. You are the same. Your problem is not speed. Your problem is inertia. You're trying to jump from 0 to 100 in one move. You don't need that. You just need to go from 0 to 1. Small actions, big momentum. Here is what happens psychologically when you shrink the task. First, your resistance drops. 10 minutes feels doable. 5 push-ups feel doable. 1 email feels doable. You no longer argue with yourself. Second, once you start, your brain often wants to continue. You say, I'll just write for 10 minutes. 20 minutes later, you're still writing. You say, I'll just clean this corner. Before you know it, half the room is improved. Third, even if you stop at the small action, you still win. You kept your word. You proved to yourself that you can move. That proof is fuel. You don't need their permission to aim small today. You don't need to justify it to people who are not living your life. You don't need to defend your pace. You have a choice. Do nothing because it's not enough. Or do something small and finally break the pattern of doing nothing. Here is your behavioral assignment for this chapter. Take your main goal and break it into micro actions that take 10 to 15 minutes or less. Want to improve your health? Micro actions. Drink 1 glass of water after waking. Walk for 10 minutes after lunch. Do 10 bodyweight squats before your shower. Want to build a side income? Micro actions. Brainstorm 5 product or service ideas. Message 1 potential customer or client. Watch 1 tutorial and write down 3 actionable notes. Want to get organized? Micro actions. Clear 1 shelf. Create 1 folder for important documents. Delete 10 useless files from your computer. Write these micro actions down. Keep them where you can see them. When your brain says, it's too much, you answer, no, it's 1 small thing. Small actions, big momentum. It's not about being instantly successful. It's about being consistently active. It's not about a perfect plan. It's about imperfect movement. It's not about your flaw. It's about your discipline. You have a choice every single day. You can demand a perfect 2-hour block and end up doing nothing. Or you could take a 10-minute block and actually move. The first option feels heroic in your imagination and useless in real life. The second option feels small in your imagination and powerful in real life. Which one are you going to choose? Your motivation is refreshed every time you act, not every time you think about acting. When you shrink the task, you lower the wall between intention and execution. You make it hard to say no. You make it easy to say yes. Small actions, big momentum. Say it again. Small actions, big momentum. In the first chapter, you broke the lie of later. You learned that waiting kills your drive. In the second chapter, you guarded your input and took back control of your mental fire. In the third chapter, you made your goal physically unavoidable, so your environment pushes you forward. Now, in this chapter, you learn to shrink the task so movement feels possible right now, not someday. You have proven to yourself that you can act, even in tiny steps. Next, it's time to protect that movement every single day with a ritual that locks in your identity. Chapter 5. Build a daily win ritual. Motivation doesn't last by accident. Motivation lasts because you turn it into a daily ritual, not a random feeling. Right now, your days blur together. You wake up, you react, you get through it, you crash. Then you tell yourself, I'll do better tomorrow. But there is no structure, no review, no standard. That is why your motivation fades. That is why your confidence never quite locks in. You don't stay motivated by hype. You stay motivated by identity. And identity is built by wins you can see, count, and respect. Wins build identity. Identity fuels motivation. That's the key. Most people measure their life with vague questions. Am I doing enough? Am I improving? These questions are too big. They produce anxiety, not clarity. You have a choice. Keep judging yourself with fog, or build a daily ritual that gives you hard evidence of progress. This chapter is simple. You're going to build a 10-minute daily win ritual. Every day. Same questions. Same structure. Same standard. 3 questions. What is my win for today? What did I actually do? How do I show up again tomorrow? That's it. No complicated system. No fancy app. You don't need their permission to start this. You only need a pen, a page, and a decision. Question 1. What is my win for today? You answer this in the morning. Not 10 wins. 1. You decide the one thing that, if completed, lets you say, today mattered. Your win could be, walk for 15 minutes. Write 1 page. Send the uncomfortable email. Spend 20 focused minutes with my kid. No phone. You have a choice. Either drift into the day and see what happens, or declare your win and give your brain a target. When you choose your win, write it down. Simple, clear, visible. This is you telling your mind, this is who we are today. This is what we do. Question 2. What did I actually do? You answer this in the evening. You sit down for 10 minutes. You look at your day with ruthless honesty. Did you execute the win you wrote down? Did you move, even a little, toward what you said mattered? No excuses. No stories. Just truth. If you did it, you write, win completed. You write what you did, how it felt, and what it proves. You remind yourself, I keep my word. I move when I decide. If you didn't do it, you still write. You write, win missed. You write why. You write what you chose instead. You look your own avoidance in the face. This is not about shaming yourself. It is about refusing to let days disappear without being seen. You have a choice. Hide from the truth, or stare at it until it changes you. Question 3. How do I show up again tomorrow? This question protects you from all or nothing thinking. You don't quit because of one bad day. You don't crown yourself for one good day. You ask, based on what happened today, how do I show up again tomorrow? If you won today, you define how to repeat it. What worked? What made it easier? How do I keep that pattern going? If you lost today, you define how to adjust. What blocked me? What can I shrink, move, or remove so I can win tomorrow? How do I prevent the same excuse from running the show? You don't need their permission to ask yourself better questions. You don't need anyone's approval to sit with your own life for 10 minutes. Wins build identity. Identity fuels motivation. There was a man who felt like a failure every night. He would lay in bed and think about everything he didn't do. One day, he started this ritual. Every morning, 1 win. Every night, what did I actually do? At first, his wins were tiny. 10 push-ups, 5 minutes of reading, answer 1 important email. But he wrote them down. He tracked them. After 2 weeks, something shifted. He no longer saw himself as the guy who never follows through. He saw pages of proof that he could act. His identity moved from I can to I do small things consistently. His motivation rose because his evidence changed. There was a student who constantly said, I'm just not disciplined. She started a 10-minute evening review. Every night she wrote, what did I do? What got in the way? How do I show up tomorrow? At first, she missed her wins often. But instead of spiraling into self-hate, she learned patterns. She noticed that every time she studied in bed, she quit early. So she moved to the library. She noticed that studying after scrolling never worked. So she reversed the order. After a few weeks, her grades changed. But more importantly, her story changed. She stopped saying, I'm not disciplined. She started saying, I know how to show up again. It's not about your past. It's about your ritual. It's not about your flaw. It's about your discipline. You have a choice. End each day in a fog of guilt and vague regret. Or end each day with a clear record of who you were and who you are becoming. Here is your behavioral assignment from this chapter. Tonight, Start your daily win ritual. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Grab a notebook, a note app, anything you can keep using. Write these 3 lines. What is my win for today? What did I actually do? How do I show up again tomorrow? Answer them. Even if today is almost over. Even if your win is small. Tomorrow morning, choose your win early. Tomorrow night, review again. Do this for 7 days. No skipping. No, I'll do it in my head. On paper. In writing. Wins build identity. Identity fuels motivation. Say it again. Wins build identity. Identity fuels motivation. When you stack wins, you stack proof. When you stack proof, you change belief. When you change belief, your motivation stops being fragile and starts being who you are. You don't need their permission to collect wins. You don't need to announce your ritual to the world. You only need to live it. In the first chapter, you broke the lie of later. In the second, you guarded your input and protected your fire. In the third, you made your goal physically unavoidable. In the fourth, you shrank the task and raised your energy with microactions. Now, in this 5th chapter, you build a daily win ritual that locks everything in. You have a choice from this point on. Drift through your days and hope motivation comes back. Or track your days, stack your wins, and become the kind of person whose motivation is renewed by evidence, not emotion. This is how you refresh your motivation in 5 simple steps. Not once, again and again, for as long as you are willing to live with discipline instead of excuses. You now have the 5 steps. You know that later is a lie. You know that your input either fuels your fire or kills it. You know that your goals must be in your face, not buried in your mind. You know that shrinking the task shrinks your excuses. And you know that a daily win ritual is how you lock in your new identity. So now the question is simple. Will you use this? Or will you drift back into the same tired patterns that kept you exhausted and unmotivated? Today, not tomorrow, choose one area of your life, your body, your money, your work, your relationships, and apply all 5 steps. Cut the noise. Put your goal where you can see it. Break the task down until it's impossible not to start. Execute one small action today, then record it tonight as a win. Do this for 7 straight days and prove to yourself that your motivation is not gone. It was only unfocused. Your challenge is clear. For the next week, no more I'll try, only I will. Press stop on this audiobook, pick your first action, and move.